Hello, I'm Ruth Jacobs, and this is a short presentation about anthotypes. And this is from our alternative photography summer school, and it's one of our featured processes from July 2020. You can find more details on our website, realphotographycompany.co.uk, or on our social media platforms. So anthotype printing is a process where you make light sensitive paper from the coloured juices and extracts from plants, and you coat the paper, and using the action of sunlight you can then create prints on your paper. And plants you can use include things like brassicas, which is kale and broccoli, spinach, chard, wild garlic, dandelion leaves or flowers, rocket, lettuce, flower petals, coloured fruits such as strawberry and blackberries are good, beetroot, which you could use boiled or raw, cooked onion skins, they have to be boiled for quite a long time, or any other leaves, fruits or vegetables that give you a rich colour. I think red cabbage is supposed to be quite good as well. And you can use a little bit of alcohol as a solvent that helps to release the juices. And I've used witch hazel or surgical spirit in the past, but one of my colleagues, Justin, has used ouzo, gin and vodka. So here are some of the items that I've experimented with. Brassicas, rocket and mizuna, which is a type of lettuce. These came from my allotment. And beetroot I just bought from the supermarket, and this is ready cooked beetroot. And a little bit of witch hazel or surgical spirit from my bathroom cabinet. And that's really cheaply available in any chemist. So to extract the juices from your plants, you would chop them up finely, first of all, then put them in a liquidizer or blitz them up in a juicer or crush them in a pestle and mortar. And then you would add some water or a little bit of alcohol as a solvent, just to get more juice out. But don't add too much extra liquid, because really what you want is a very intensely coloured juice. You don't want to dilute it too much. Then strain it through muslin or a jelly bag, or an old pair of tights will do, just to get the bits out. And this is me squeezing my rocket juice into a tub. And then coat your paper with plant extracts, and you can use any good quality drawing paper, or you could try inkjet photo paper, not the light sensitive sort, the sort you put in your printer at home. This is beetroot juice that I'm coating onto some inkjet paper here. So you might need several coats to get a good even colour, and dry your paper in between the coats and don't expose them to sunlight, because they are sensitive to light at this stage. Try to use smooth paper as well, because if you use textured paper, then the prints that you make on the paper might not be quite so distinct and detailed. And you can put the extracts into little jars. I've got here chard, broccoli and kale, beetroot and wild garlic juice, and you can put them in the fridge and use them within a month. Any paintbrush will do. I've got a nice soft paintbrush that I use to do this process. You can also make good anthotypes out of turmeric. Ground turmeric that you just use as a spice is really good. You can make a liquid by mixing the ground turmeric with a little water or alcohol as a solvent, and then strain to get all the bits out, all the grains out. And then add an egg white to make it easier to coat onto the paper. My straining process wasn't good, so I had a quite grainy looking anthotype here, but it did work. And I also tried tandoori spice, which is here. That didn't work too well actually, because it turns out that there's a lot of food colouring in tandoori spice, and that is not sensitive to light. So on a sunny day, expose the anthotypes to the sun. And here I've got my anthotypes under a piece of perspex, which is weighted down by stones to stop them moving. So you can place items such as flowers, leaves, grasses, feathers, lace, or anything with an interesting pattern or texture or outline onto your Anthotype paper. You could try using your own negatives or making stencils to experiment with, or putting designs onto transparent acetate. And then you would place it in a clip frame or under perspex or glass. Here are some anthotypes exposing in a picture frame in the sun. And you're probably going to need several hours or maybe a day or maybe longer for the action of the ultraviolet rays in the sun to have an effect on your plant material. So it depends on the sensitivity of the plants you've used to coat your paper and the strength of the UV light on the day that you've chosen to do this, how long it will take. So also be aware that the UV index does vary according to the time of year, the time of day, and your latitude in the world. So the light is much stronger at midday than it is early in the morning or later in the afternoon. And your eyes and your body don't really realize that because you adjust to it very easily, but it will have a much quicker effect if you can manage to get the midday sun. And here are some finished anthotypes that I made. So when you think that your background has bleached out enough, then remove your glass and items covering the paper and reveal your finished anthotype. So here's an anthotype I made out of daisy heads from my lawn. Can't really see the petals so much, but I thought the flower heads made a attractive enough pattern. And this is an anthotype on brassica coated paper. This is a beetroot anthotype of a little perennial I had in my garden with an attractive leaf. I've used it there and there. That's another brassica anthotype. I was really pleased with this one because the leaves came out so clearly. This is a variegated shrub I had in my garden on a beetroot anthotype. It's got an interesting watercolour effect. And this is some sweet woodruff in my garden, which has got a lovely attractive leaf. And this is on a wild garlic anthotype paper. I also tried chard, which looked brown, and it was very difficult to get an image out of anthotype paper coated with a chard extract. I don't think it's very sensitive to light, but you know, have a go with different plants and see what you can get out of them. Turmeric anthotypes can be toned in borax as well, or borax substitute, and I use 1 teaspoon of borax with 300 ml of water, and this will improve the colour and the contrast of your turmeric print. So you just basically fill a little dish and pop your print in and agitate for about half a minute, and it will immediately tone your borax print a darker colour. Your turmeric print a darker colour. And then you can give it a little rinse. But other anthotypes shouldn't be washed, toned or fixed, as you could easily wash away your image. And also bear in mind that anthotype paper will still be sensitive to light, and so if you want to display anthotype images, it's best to photograph them and display the photo, and keep your anthotype in a dark folder if you want them to not to degrade and fade in the light. So for ideas and inspiration, you could look at the work of these artists. Here we've got Nettie Edwards, who lives and works in Cheltenham, and she's done some really interesting anthotype prints from Painswick Rococo Garden using the plants that are there. And she's used negatives to create images on plant-based paper as well. She took over our Instagram account in June, and you could have a look at her work on her Instagram account as well. And we've got Daggy Brundert, who's a German artist, and here are some images that she's got here of making Anthotype paper using these flower petals, which are dark purple. I think they're aquilegia or violet, I'm not sure, but she made a beautiful purple juice to coat onto her paper. And she's made some really interesting short films that are on her YouTube channel about Anthotype printing using flowers, petals and food. Christine Elfman, she's an interesting artist who's used Anthotype printing on fabric, and she's created this beautiful dress, and the lining has got some really amazing Anthotype images printed onto it. And Francis Schanberger is an American artist who's used Anthotype printing, and he's used items of clothing to make amazing Anthotype prints. And he's got a whole series on sleepwear called the Somnambulists, which I recommend having a look at. So just remains for me to say thank you for watching, and do have a go and share your results. We'd love to see what you get up to. And one of the great things about this process is that you don't need really any specialist photography equipment or materials. You can have a go with whatever you've got in your cupboards or in your garden, and some paper and some sun. So good luck, and please send us your images. Thank you.